All right, this is take two because I forgot to turn the microphone on the first one, so I've just been talking to myself for about 10 minutes, but here we go. My name's Kelly McGreal, and I'm going to be talking about teacher study groups. A general definition of teacher study groups is a collaborative group organized by teachers to help them strengthen their professional development in areas of common interest. So, keywords being collaborative, everybody's working together, and teachers. It should definitely be in a teacher study group, it should definitely be teacher focused. Teacher study groups can be formal or informal and can cover information ranging from learning new learning strategies to studying results from performance-based assessment. But at the heart of teacher study groups should always be student achievement. We should always be trying to help our students, always be trying to help them achieve and be successful within the classroom. Some key necessities for teacher study groups are regularly scheduled meeting times, clearly established focus, and goals to work towards. So this first case study is an example from an elementary school that I student taught at. We covered the three necessities with regularly scheduled meeting times. They lasted about 30 minutes, and they were about at the end of every Tuesday. They had clearly established focus. We were always focusing on learning new teaching strategies. And the goals to work towards were student engagement. So throughout the whole year, this group gets together every Tuesday and they talk about, I think maybe once a month. So they meet every Tuesday, but once a month they introduce a new learning strategy. So the first meeting, they introduce it, the teachers sit in a circle and they practice it. And then, within the next 2 weeks, the teachers are to bring this strategy into their actual classrooms. They practice with the students, and then they come back to the next meeting and they discuss what went well, what didn't go well, if they felt that students were engaged, if they felt that it helped make the lesson make sense for more students, and so on. So when I participated in this teacher study group during my student teaching experience, we worked on sharing circles. As a team, we demonstrated how to conduct and participate in a sharing circle. Then each team member was to try this new strategy in the classrooms, like I just said, take notes, and come back to the next meeting and just discuss strengths and weaknesses. On this next slide, I just shared two pictures. The picture on the left is a picture of teachers in a teacher study group. This definitely is not a picture of us, but if it was, we would be practicing the sharing circles that we were about to bring into our classrooms. The picture on the right is a random lady in a random classroom, but she has her students sitting in a circle, which is just like that circle strategy that we learned in our teacher study group. And so, like I said, every teacher went and brought the strategy into their classroom, and then they brought all of their information and data back into the meeting. And what was really cool was at this elementary school, the teachers in the meetings were all different subjects. You had math, you had social studies, you had science, and so on, and they were all of the grade levels. It was a 3, 5, and 4 school. And so it was really cool to see how the social studies teacher made it really work really well in her classroom while they were talking about the government. And then the the science teacher struggled a little bit because she was doing her circle on like cells. When we got back to the meeting, one of the really cool weaknesses that somebody shared was that they felt that in the circle, some students were really shy and they didn't say anything, they didn't share anything, so it wasn't helping them. And then other students who were really outgoing were sharing too much and kind of just thinking of it as like the attention's on me type of thing. So what the teacher's study group was able to do is we took that feedback, we thought about it, and then we fixed it. We decided that we would give each student tokens. So each student gets 2 tokens, and that represents how many times they have to participate in the circle. So when someone participates, they say something, they turn in a token. And when we went back and retried it, everybody tried it with the tokens the second time, and we all found that it worked a lot better. So that's just a good example of an elementary school using a teacher's study group to create new and engaging lessons for their students. This second example is from the middle school I'm currently at. And again, we cover the necessities by having regularly scheduled meeting times. We meet for 45 minutes of our planning block every Monday. Clearly established focus. We are focused on student progress and performance-based assessments, mainly performance-based assessments. Our goals to work towards our student mastery on the April LEAP tests. So again, at my school, teachers meet every Monday and share data from an assessment given the week before. We break those scores down into advanced, mastery, approaching basic, and unsatisfactory, just like the LEAP test. We then brainstorm how to bring all students up a bracket. On this next slide, I have an example of the paperwork that we are to bring to every meeting every Monday. It's a lot to put on one page, so it's totally overlapping, but that's okay. The chart in the top left just shows how we break our students down. U, unsatisfactory, A, B, approaching basic, B, basic, M, mastery, and then advanced. My example isn't the greatest example because I am the self-contained autism teacher, so when you're trying to test my students on a 6th grade level assessment, we're somewhere between pre-K and 1st grade level, so when I did my data, we were all in unsat, but for everybody else, for science, social studies, ELA, math, they were able to break their students up between all of these different brackets. And if you could kind of see behind the chart, those have all the percentages, so it's easy to, just grade a test and be like, oh, they got a 78, that's advanced, great. Then we break it down into a few questions that we kind of take care of beforehand so that we can optimize the time and we can share our thoughts. The first thing we share is just the strengths. We always want to start with positives. The next thing we share are the weaknesses and action plan we have to help them. And the third is the continued steps and moving forward. One of the great things about this teacher group is that when we have weaknesses, we all have a common goal. So people within the room are able to share their insights, share their experiences, and help you bring your students up. We're always trying to help our students. So if a student is sitting at unsat right now, it's hard to tell them that we expect mastery from them in April. So what we do as a team is we kind of figure out how to kind of inch them up the ladder. How are we going to get the approaching basic next week? How are we going to move them up from there? So it's helpful to break everything down. It makes everything seem a lot more doable. And because it's a teacher study group, there's all that support from around you. Okay. Next, we're just going to get into some of the specifics of general teacher study groups. So generally, there are 4 types of meetings. It does not mean that there are only 4 meetings. There are just 4 types, and you can have as many meetings of each type as you need. So the first type of a teacher study group meeting is a brainstorming meeting. The first meeting must develop a topic that all members understand and wish to pursue. The second meeting is narrowing the topic. The second type of meeting must further narrow the topic and produce big questions that the group wants to explore. Those big questions help keep your study group focused on your goals. And then there are extended meetings. These meetings are where the heart of the discussion is at. During these types of meetings, study group members address questions that are specific to the topic and share ideas, experiences, and findings. The 4th type are reflection on process and content. In this type of meetings, teachers reflect on the process and topics of the study group. Members actively alter and update the operations of the group. The 4th type, obviously all the meetings for the study group are important, but I think that the 4th type, the reflection, is the most important because let's say you have a teacher study group, every year, the whole year, September through May or whatever, and if you get too busy and you don't have time to reflect at the end, nothing's ever going to change. So it's really important to sit down as a group, think about what went well and what could go better. That way you can make adjustments as you need to. This slide is about the principal's role in teacher study groups. The principal's role in a teacher study group can be viewed as both a positive or a negative. In my middle school example, my principal is very much involved in our teacher study group. She's a member of the group, and this, in our school at least, it's a very positive thing because she's sitting in there as one of us, and she is always just giving insight and suggestions, and she's always very positive and helpful. So she makes it feel like a safe space, which is pretty much at the heart of the 3 guidelines listed on the bottom. So if a principal is going to be involved in your teacher study group, you need to they need to make sure that they are participating as an equal within the group. So they are just a member of the group. They are not necessarily your boss. They're not there to judge anybody. They're not there to evaluate anybody. They are just there as part of the group. Second, they need to foster a zone of safety. So as long as they are participating as an equal, the zone of safety should be kind of implied. But what we mean by zone of safety is that no teacher within the teacher study group should fear sharing any thoughts or concerns within the group because of fear of the principal. They should, feel safe and like they're going to get nothing but support back. And thirdly, the principal should not use the meetings as a means of promoting their own agendas. It is not their own PD time. It is time for the teacher study group to meet and work on their goals. So the principal can't come in and, start a new agenda every week and, use it only as a mean of finishing their work and their goals. It should still be the group's goals as a whole. All right, this is my last slide, and I just wanted to touch on the benefits of teacher study groups one more time. One of the major benefits of teacher study groups are the positive interactions you have with peers. As we all know, sometimes teaching is very stressful, we're tired, and a lot of our lunchroom talk can get kind of negative. Sometimes it's, not complaining, but talking about the stress-filled things that happened today, maybe that one kid bad behavior today. We just know that it can get kind of negative when everybody's tired together. But in the teacher study group, you're always focused on being positive. You're focused on a certain goal, and that goal is helping the students. So it helps to foster positive relationships with your peers because you're focused on improving yourself and improving the students. Second, another one of the benefits of teacher study groups are insights from people who may have more or different experiences than you. For example, like I said on the previous slide, it's one reason why my data is not as good as everybody else's, but the cool thing about me still being involved in the teacher study group is that I am one of the only special education teachers in the teacher study group. So a lot of times when people are talking about their data, they have a lot of questions for me about accommodations and who has accommodations, who needs them, if they can get one kid more of them, or, just how to implement accommodations. So I'm there to help teachers with, an area that they might not have studied or they might not have any experience with. And lastly, teacher study groups are just great for support. If you're having a bad day, going to your teacher study group should be a positive thing. It should help remind you of why you're a teacher, because you are just so focused on all the good and all of the positive outcomes from your hard work. All right, and that is about it. Thank you.